Hello and welcome to Scrap Race, a new game mode that was added with the latest major update. Now what we're going to do today is have a brief look at what this has to offer and see how it plays out. So yes, when we start this game mode, we'll be dropped down into this little gathering room where we have 5 minutes of sitting around while players gather and get ready to go into the build phase. So during this time we can get our outfits all ready and we can prepare ourselves for the journey ahead, because we're going to have to build a car and then race it around a track. The interesting thing about this game mode is that the vehicles have some kind of super armor on them, so when you go around and get hit by a rocket turret, you're not going to instantly split apart. I'll talk about that a bit later when we start to go around the track. As for this room, we are using our heavy rusted steel block skin, and we've got some of the new DLC blocks sitting right here in the forms of our storage shelves. Coming up the steps past our medical bay, we come across to our bar where we've got a handy little robot who's going to serve us drinks. This robot has got sensors on it, so it can detect when a player comes close, and it will try to follow you around with a little camera on its head. Coming around over to here, we've got ourselves a vending machine with some rusted crates which cannot be opened, and we've got a little table in the middle, and turning around, we've got a small little walkway where we can view outside at our brand new planet. I do like this planet quite a lot. It's very Borderlandsy with the feel of it. Anyway, coming around to here, we then move into our little storage room. We've got some toilets in here where if we were to sit on a toilet, we will discover the Scrap Race organization. Very odd thing to discover stuff while on the toilet, but there you go. Anyway, coming out of this little room, we can come through this doorway here, which then lead to our rusted hydrogen engines, which are currently doing nothing, and a few more bits of decoration. We can come through to our storage shelves, where once again, not too much is going on. However, if we were to come over to this doorway right here, we have the admin's door. Now, I'm using the cheeky admin menu to allow me to open this up, but for a traditional player, you would not be able to enter this room. So this is where the admin of the server can control a few things, such as setting the lap times, if it's the official or practice race, and behind here we've got a little console that can change the weather, so we can make it into a super dust storm where we can't see anything, or we can have a small amount of dust there, or we can have clear weather where there's no sound or no dust. Then we have a master control terminal right here where we can start the race instantly, or end the race instantly, or quit out. As well as a little button panel right here where we can drop from the race. There we go, I'm no longer in the race, and then I can go and join in. When the timer hits 0, I'll be instantly teleported into the build room. So what we're going to do now is very quickly hit start, and now we instantly drop into our build room, where all the players get completely separated into their own little garages, and will be greeted by some button panels. These button panels will spawn pre-made vehicles, where we got ourselves a scrap rod, which will then spawn in after a short lag spike. Be very careful with that. If you click the button too many times on the initial load, you will merge vehicles together and Lord Clang will get very angry and destroy the room. Yes, we've got some predetermined vehicles where if I come all the way around over to here, plus that's a little hot rod where we've got a rocket turret on the back, and we've got a Gatling gun at the front. The rocket turret is manual control only, and both these weapons will have their ammunition automatically added in as soon as the race starts. Yes, we've got a little cargo container back here where we've got some components where we can start to weld up any of the unfinished block around the vehicle. So if we want to finish off these blast door edge blocks, we can do. And it's highly recommended that you do that because you want to protect your suspension. Although it does seem like the wheels and the suspensions attached onto them cannot be destroyed. Just coming all the way back up here, we'll get another little look at the other vehicles that we can spawn. So over here we've got the Dune Scout, which is my personal favourite. So coming around over to here, we've got our rocket turret, which is slightly above the cockpit, and our Gatling gun, which is more on the side. Coming back all the way over to here and spawning in the next one. We then got the Viper, which we'll just look at around here. It's just a blue version of the other truck. And then over to here, we then got ourselves the Dune Enforcer, which is a very nice design. We've got a spare wheel on the back, which is quite handy, and our rocket turret, which is just above our cockpit once again, with a Gatling gun in the dead middle. It would be a very good idea to check them all out because they're quite nice. But if you don't want a predetermined vehicle, we do have a blank chassis where we can do whatever we want with. Now, my only complaint with this is we only get 5 minutes to play around with these vehicles. There's no obvious way of extending the time out, so using a blank chassis may be not a good idea unless you're willing to give all the players creative mode and let them go nuts. What I'm going to do is very quickly just spawn in this vehicle right here, the scrap rod, and we'll go from here. What I was saying with the blank chassis is you can't really do much with it within a lot of time. It's a very rushed situation you have at this current point in time, and you can't take away the chassis and go into creative mode and build your car, then paste it into this game mode, because you'll lose the super armor, which is what I'm calling what these vehicles get. The blocks have either a extreme health pool or massive amounts of damage reduction, to the point that a rocket launcher can do very little damage to you, so getting hit by one of the rocket turrets which are spread around the tracks is just simply going to knock you around. Being repeatedly hit by rockets is just going to dent the blocks around your vehicle and not do much damage. However, if you were to bring in your own vehicle, you're going to get split into pieces very, very quickly. Yeah, so the race is going to start in 1 minute, and when that hits 0, the gate is going to open up, and then we're going to have a hangar door come all the way down, and the race will officially begin. Another little complaint with this little area is the fact that you can't use a jetpack, so it is quite hard to build up and above on this vehicle, so you will need to try and build a makeshift ramp to get on top of it if you want to fiddle around with it. When I tested this out with a friend, I found it was a pretty good idea. Oh god, the race is starting. So yeah, you can see the gate is opening up there, and then we have our hangar doors right here, which will eventually open up when that hits 0, then we can go around the track. Then we just bring up the HUD there and mark points, and we'll go around. But yes, as I was saying, when I tested it out with a friend, I found it was quite a good idea to remove the turret at the back and replace it with, say, a deployable on a rotor, so dropping a bunch of decoys, dropping a bunch of warheads, if you're willing to put creative mode on, that is. Yes, as for the race itself, we got ourselves some checkpoints that will update as you get close to them and will lead you around the track. There are some hazards around the track, such as rocket turrets, which I spoke about earlier, which will try and target your vehicle and not you. There's also some falling debris and all that for you to dodge around, as well as some buildings that you could potentially crash into. There are a few splits in the path. Oh, there's a turret there, and you can see it did very little damage to me, to the point that I can just simply ignore that rocket turret altogether. Of course, that will change when you do multiple laps, but I'm only doing 1 lap for this video. Yes, over to here, I'm just going to put my parking brakes on. This is the first super jump, where you want to be quite careful with this. You want to make sure your vehicle is nice and light to make sure you can go over this jump. If not, you have to take the bridge of shame. Me and my friend, when we tested this out, we always went for that jump, and we always got stuck down in this little canyon down here. And if your vehicle is too heavy and don't have any kind of assistant thrusters, you're going to be stuck down there for quite some time. Yes, continuing along here, and what I was saying about the deployables, it's quite good to have deployable decoys, deployable warheads that you can drop behind you and screw up the players when they're trying to drive, because getting a decoy under your wheels, it's going to flip you up. Now this is the first split in the path for the race where we can go left or right. I find left to be a lot more smoother and a little bit quicker than going right. But yes, it's up to you where you want to go. It's probably a good idea to go where the least amount of players are turning off to. As for the controls for our vehicles, all the vehicles are the same. We've got our Gatling gun on number 1 where we can fire it. Number 2 will be manual control over our rocket turrets, so we can blast our fellow participants. And number 3 will be to have a flip control for our gyroscopes. So there we are. We're just going to keep going all the way along over to here. The scoreboard on the top left will update when someone overtakes you and all that. Yes, it's just quite a nice little drive and quite fun to play with a lot of people. So coming all the way past here, there's some more stuff, more hazards to crash into, which I have crashed into a little bit, because you notice speed is limited to about 54-55 meters per second. And if I was just to come to a complete stop, come into the control panel and find our wheels, you'll notice that we can't actually increase our speed. We increase the height, we increase our strength, our power and all that, but we cannot increase our speed. We can do something very cheeky, and that is make them into a group, find our group over to here, and then find the speed increase. There we go. And now we can go super fast. In fact, we can have unlimited speed, go around the track super fast. Now the problem with this is that the hazards, the buildings all the way around this track, are going to become a lot more deadlier. Yes, there is another rocket turret where we can try and avoid that. Oop, it sort of wobbled around a little bit, but we are still fine. And that's what I was talking about with our super armor. We're just going to wobble around, and we will need to activate our gyroscope to flip ourselves over. There we go. And then we can continue along. We took quite a lot of rocket hits there, and you can see we are still roughly in one piece. Our blocks have started to deform, and our turret is on fire. But we can just keep driving around this track. So there we are, we've got some rusted ships that have been crashed here for centuries. We continue along to the next checkpoint. I think one of my wheel suspensions might have been damaged, because driving this thing has become a bit more wonkier. But as I was saying about the speed limit, it becomes quite deadly when you crash into stuff, because you can do some serious damage to your vehicle when driving at about 100 meters per second. It's a lot more fun when you have some thrusters strapped to it, but I'm not going to do that for the moment. Yes, we're going to keep on driving around. We're getting closer and closer to number 7. We should have another jump coming up. But as for the rocket turrets, they aren't too bad, especially if there are multiple people racing along with you. It's a bit odd having them all target me, but when you have multiple people, it's a lot easier just to drop behind and let the person go first, and then they'll take the brunt of the damage. And here is another jump. I missed the ramp. I'm going to come crashing all the way down to here and do a little bounce. One thing you might have noticed is that we don't have any kind of gyroscope control. So it could be a very good idea to attach a gyroscope to have some mouse control when going over a jump, or you're going to be in a bit of a pickle. Now what we're going to come up to is something that I've been caught in a lot of time and is quite a lethal place to go down, and that is this little dip right over there. We're supposed to go around it, but I keep getting confused and going into it. There's another rocket turret trying to pummel. Getting down there is quite deadly because it's very hard to get out in a reasonable amount of time, and if you do end up going down there, you might as well just throw in the towel. Continuing along there, the rocket turret was sitting all the way over there. It seems to have quite a reduced fire rate and reduced damage, and it has a obscene range compared to most rocket turrets, but it is perfectly fine. Anyway, we're going to continue along here. We're going to start to come across some dropping hazards. But first, we have another split in the path. We're just going to go left, because it seems a lot easier than turning right. Go all the way around over to here, getting closer and closer to checkpoint 9. You can go off-road if you want to, that's perfectly fine to do, but it's a lot more fun to stick to the track. So I'm now looping all the way around closer to number 9. We can see some more buildings up ahead. It's quite nice to actually go around with the free camera and take a look at all these buildings. They're very well done. And I do like some of the wreckages which have been spread about. There's like some weird tugboat wreckages which you'll see a little bit later on. Or I might have gone past them, I can't really remember. Yeah, we'll see them and they're quite neat. I've been thinking about stealing them and trying to fix them up and make them usable. But I'll probably do that a bit later. Oh, we hit a rock. And off we go. There is another wreckage of a ship which is quite nicely placed. And we have quite a tight corner to go all the way around. Not too good if your suspensions are damaged like mine. Oh, there we go. Part of the ship has dropped down. That can be quite a deadly thing, especially if you're doing multiple laps, because now you have to dodge that right there. And you're all the way around and coming past the trees. The trees can be quite lethal as well. You don't exactly take damage from them, but you bounce back and it could cost you your lead. Almost done, getting closer to 10. And then we'll be on a nice flat run to the end where we just press forwards and go as fast as possible. There's a tree, hopefully we'll dodge it. All the way around to there. There's a cargo container that's about to drop down. We might be able to dodge it. Yes, we will. And away we go. Ah, here's the area where I was talking about the traditional boats in their wreckages. We'll have a little stop here and take a little looky. So putting the brakes on. There we go. That is what I was talking about. Very nice little designs that could easily be stolen and fixed up. Going across over to checkpoint number 11. This is a nice flat area which is going to be deadly if you have a lot of players clumped together, because you will be able to shoot your Gatling gun straight forwards into the back of other players, be able to take your rocket turret and start blasting behind you. And yes, if you were to attach any kind of rotors with decoys on them, this will be the best place to drop your caltrops. We're just going to keep going along. Got another hazard coming up on checkpoint 11. We've got a crane which has a moving part on it and a container attached onto it. That container can drop down and could potentially screw you over. Here it comes all the way around. Might be going a bit fast for it to actually drop all the way down, but it will do eventually. Anyway, this is the final checkpoint. We're now on a nice flat run. We're going to come past no more hazards. It's just a straight run to the end, and that will be that. Usually when we get to this point, we will get a little timer saying the race will restart in 1 minute, which is basically the ending point. Meaning if you don't get to the end at that point, it's going to be a did not finish. But there we go. The race restarts in 1 minute because I have finished the track, and we can see all the little huts or the garages of where people will start from and spawn in their vehicles. Yes, that is it for the scrap race. It's a very nice little thing to play around with if you've got some friends to go with, or if you want to play solo and see what you could slap together in the allotted amount of time. I don't recommend using workshop items on this track because you do not have the super protection the spawned in vehicles have. Yes, my only real complaint is not having enough time to build, or simply not having a button to extend out how long people can build. So it would be nice to maybe have 10-15 minutes to play around with, see what wacky designs you can come up with. But within the allotment time, it's quite a rushed experience, but it's still fun nonetheless. Anyway, when that timer hits 0, the race will restart and the process will go around again. But yes, like I said, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be back with another video some point soon. Bye bye.